Record. All right. So hi everyone. We'll start in a few minutes. As people are still joining in. All right. So I think we can start. Okay. So hi everyone. Welcome to this edition of our Tech Talk. And today we're taking hands on look at one of the most crucial aspects of maintaining your Exadata database service, which is to perform software updates and upgrade. And we know staying current is key, especially on ensuring security, stability, and performance. So in this session, we'll break down the what, the why, and the how of keeping your Exadata database service environments up to date. So whether you're new to Exadata database service or a seasoned pro, so you'll gain practical knowledge, tips, and best practices to streamline and simplify your updates and upgrade processes. So my name is Leo Alvarado. I'm your host, and with me is my co-host Sheena Argalwal. So hi Sheena, thanks for joining the Tech Talk.
Hi, Leo.
Okay, so for today's session, we have prepared learning points. So we'll start with giving you an overview on the simplified cloud management with Exadata database service, and then we move into the different resources. So we'll explore each of the resources, how you perform updates and upgrades. So we'll start with Exadata cloud infrastructure maintenance, and then we'll move to VM cluster OS updates, and then we're going to talk about um, performing updates for your grid infrastructure and databases, as well as in conducting upgrades for grid infra and database. And towards the end, we'll share how you can monitor all this updates and upgrades processes. And with that, I'll be handing over to Sheena to kickstart the simplify management model in the public cloud.
Thanks, Leo. So basically, it's a very simple management model. Everything that's infrastructure, including the hypervisors, database, storage servers, storage network, is managed and owned by Oracle. Everything that's database or VMs or anything that sits on top of that is owned by the customer. So customer owns everything inside the database, including your data, schema, encryption keys. You can subscribe to database services. The customer will be managing the VMs and databases using, you can use cloud automation or do it through the console. You can automate to create, delete, or patch, scale up, scale down all of your resources. It supports all the Oracle database versions. So you control the access to the customer VM. You can also install and manage your additional software in the customer VM. The Oracle staff is not authorized to access the customer VM. For the infrastructure, everything is owned and managed by Oracle, including the patching, security scans, and security updates. So, customer is not authorized to access this Oracle infrastructure. So all of the database updates and upgrades, the grid infrastructure updates and upgrades, and the virtual machine Exadata OS image updates are done by the customer. And the infrastructure updates and upgrades are done by the Oracle. That is Oracle's responsibility. So this infrastructure update is what we'll start with first, which is Oracle's responsibility. So even though we will be doing the updates and upgrades for your dedicated infrastructure, whatever is updated here, let's say the database servers, storage servers, network switches, it includes all the firmware, OS, and Exadata system software. The full Exadata software image is applied every quarter, and you can also specify a customer-defined maintenance schedule. This updates are usually rolling by default. You can also specify a non-rolling update if you prefer that. There's also security updates that are applied in a 21-day window. There's a reschedule flexibility if you want. So this is automatically applied every month by Oracle, and there's no downtime on the DB. The DB servers are updated online. Now, there's also a way that you can monitor all of these updates and upgrades, which we'll look at towards the end of the this session on how to do that. So you can subscribe to infrastructure OCI events to monitor your maintenance progress. And Oracle also proactively monitors the progress to ensure the success of your infrastructure maintenance. So we basically have a quarterly maintenance schedule. If it's not specified, the default schedule will be at least 2 weeks after the availability of the update. You can choose a maintenance window. So if you look here, you can basically specify the month, week, day, and time of the week where you want to update your infrastructure, and also a lead time to receive the notifications. And this, you also have the option to select whether you want rolling or non-rolling infrastructure maintenance. Yeah. So this is good because it ensures consistency and efficiency across the fleet to align with your compliance requirements and operational best practices. You can also define flexible maintenance windows and enforce the duration when needed. If you attach a maintenance policy to it, that overrides all of your scheduling preferences. So these are infrastructure level preferences are ignored if you specify a maintenance policy. So you can basically create your own scheduling policy within your given compartment, select the same things, the month, week, day, and time of the maintenance window, and apply that specific maintenance policy during for your infrastructure updates. Now, this is how you can receive notifications and monitor your. So, by default, Oracle is monitoring your infrastructure updates. But if you want to monitor your infrastructure updates, you can sign up for email notifications Slack notifications, pager duty, SMS, or trigger a function, anything that you want. You can also create a notification topic and subscription using the application integration and notifications. You can create the rule in event service for different event types under the service name database. So let's say here you want to specify whenever the cloud Exadata infrastructure, the maintenance method changes. You can specify this and then define in the actions what kind of notification you want to receive, in which topic, and then just subscribe your queue or whichever kind of notification you want to that specific topic and receive notifications whenever your infrastructure is updated by Oracle. So that's about the infrastructure. Then after the infrastructure comes the VM cluster OS updates, which are the customer's responsibility. So I'll have Leo walk you through the VM cluster OS updates. Over to you, Leo.
Thanks, Sheena. So this outlines the key aspects of guest VM OS Exadata system software updates. So this updates include both the virtual machine and the the virtual machine operating system and the Exadata software. And the updates they are released monthly, covering the latest six minor versions for each supported major version. And in order to prepare, so it's recommended and it's a best practice to run pre-checks in exa check to ensure that your virtual machine is ready. And finally, you can monitor the update of the progress through the OCI console, or you can also additionally you can subscribe to those service events that what Sheena have mentioned a while ago, so that you have and you also have an option to retry or roll back in any failed updates. Okay, so next slide, please. So performing your Exadata VM cluster OS update. So in your OCI console, on your VM cluster details page, so you'll see a tab there. It's called OS updates. So if you go to OS updates, you'll see all the available OS updates for your Exadata VM cluster, and then you can view the details. So here it will show you what kind of OS image update is that. It shows you the version, and then in the console, there's also an available action for you to perform this different update actions. Like you can run a pre-check, and then after running a pre-check, you can go straight and apply the OS updates for your Exadata VM cluster. So that's the OCI console. Now, moving on, you can also make use of other interfaces. Like if you're looking into writing your own custom tooling or script, so you can also make use of the OCI CLI to perform some of this update actions. So first is the list. Okay, so in this example, you'll see that we're using the OCI Cloud Shell, which comes with an pre-installed OCI CLI. And then in terms of the syntax, it's very straightforward. So if you look at the syntax is just OCI DB is the service, which it's for all the database cloud services. And then the resource type is Cloud VM Cluster. The action is list updates. So after you provide the action list updates, you just need to provide your Cloud VM Cluster ID, which is your Cloud VM Cluster OSID. And then you can add this optional parameters like update type of OS update. So when you run this CLI command, if you can just zoom in a bit, Sheena, so it will just list all the available OS image updates for that specific cloud VM cluster. So in the output, you'll see here a description and then the ID. So the ID, this one corresponds to the OSID of the update that you will be using when you do the apply. And then of course it shows you the version of the VM cluster OS update. So this is the list. Now, moving to the next example. Now, if you wanted to do the actual update, so for the update, so we're just changing the syntax. So coming from the list update, now it's just update action, and then same thing. You just need to provide the Cloud VM cluster OSID, and then that update ID. That's the OSID that you get from the list command on the previous slide, and then here we can specify an update action, whether it's a pre-check or it's the actual apply, like a rolling apply. Okay, so for this example, again, it is recommended um to run pre-check first for your performing OS update. So once you run this CLI command, again, you can also monitor it from the console. So you just need to go to the OS update. So you'll see here that it's doing the checking. And then if you just move to next slide, Sheena. So under the work request, so you'll see the progress of the pre-check for this update. So that is for the VM cluster update. Now, if you wanted to subscribe to the service events for this cloud VM cluster update, so you just need to look for this cloud VM cluster update begin and update end. So on when you define a rule, so you just need to select the event type for the condition and then database for the service name. And then for the event type, you just need to add this too. So whenever you've started to perform on update for the OS VM cluster, so it can send you a notification. So if you choose to subscribe to a notification like going through a channel of email, so you'll get an email notification before it started the update and also after it completed. Okay. Now let's talk about the grid infrastructure and database updates. So this updates are directly applied to the grid infrastructure home and to all the databases within a database home. So using an in-place method. But for added safety, again, it's also it's recommended updating one database at a time using a database home, which is known as the out of place method. So the updates are released quarterly, and you can always access the latest for releases. And there's also a flexibility for you if you wanted to create your custom software images for both your grid infrastructure and your database home. So and also, I mean, just like the OSVM cluster update. So before starting, again, it is also recommended to run a pre-check to ensure that your databases are ready for updates, and you can even automate the entire process using OCI interfaces. Like you can make use of the Ready Cloud automation tools from the console, or you can use other interfaces like CLI API. And then for tracking the progress, again, you can monitor from the console or create your own event rules and subscribe to notification. So for the grid infrastructure and Oracle database home, as I mentioned, so you can create your also a custom software images. So if you wanted to standardize on a on a particular RU or release updates. So if you go to the create software image, so you can choose whether you use an Oracle publish or your own custom software images. So the custom software images, it's applicable for both grid infrastructure. So you can see here if you choose database software image, so this one is creating a custom database software image for database home. And then the other one is grid infrastructure software image, which lets you create a custom grid infrastructure uh, image. Okay. And then for the actual updates, if you go to the next slide, Sheena. So in the console from your VM cluster details page, if you go to the updates GI tab, so you'll see here all the available grid infrastructure updates that you can apply to your VM cluster. So GA updates are in place and rolling. So again, you can for updating your grid infrastructure, you can choose either the Oracle published or the custom software image, and then again, it's recommended to run pre-check. So this is through the console. So as you can see, when you click on a particular grid infrastructure update, you have the action here to run pre-check or apply the update. And then same thing with the other OCI interface. Like if you want to do it through CLI. Next slide, Sheena. And so this is how you check the available grid infra updates using OCI CLI. So if you look at the syntax, so we're using the list updates action, but here we are specifying an update type option, which is the GI patch. So list of GA updates are available for both console and through API. And then if you look at the output, so you'll see here the description of the GI update, and then the ID, which is the OSID, and then the version of that specific grid infrastructure. So that's how you list. Now, if you want to run the pre-check and apply, so same thing. So you just need to specify you need to use the update action and then specify the update uh, ID, and then specify an update action, whether it's a pre-check or apply, like rolling apply. So that's how you do it through the API. And if you wanted to do through the REST API, so this is the sample uh, payload for running an update cloud VM cluster. So for this example, we are running a rolling apply, but this time we're not specifying an OSID of an update, but rather an OSID. We're specifying a custom software image ID for the grid infrastructure. So this example, like if you have created your own custom grid infrastructure custom software image, so you just need to specify the OSID of that custom software image for your grid infrastructure, and then put it on this put the update action of rolling apply, and then this one will apply the update for that the grid infrastructure updates. Now, moving on, for notifications for applying grid infrastructure updates. So again, you can subscribe to this two event types, which is the Cloud VM cluster update and Cloud VM cluster uh, update begin and end. Okay. So on in the OCI console, if you go to developer services under application integration, you'll see there the OCI notification. So once you've created the notification, so it will ask you to create a topic and a subscription. So your subscription, that will be the channel where you wanted to get your notification. So that could be an email. And then for creating the rules, so you just need to specify this event types as shown in in the screen, and then you can specify an action, whether to trigger a notification action type, or you can even trigger an action type of a function if you want to call in a function or a script to after you you get this events. Okay, now moving on to database updates. So I'll hand it over to Sheena.
So you can, again, just like the updates, you can basically pre-check to ensure that your DB home is ready before we apply a database patch or an update. Now, again, these updates are rolling across your rack databases. We usually it is recommended to do it out of place. You update one database at a time by moving it to another database home and having desired patches. You can also do it in place and update the current database home. This will update all the databases using that database home. So if you see here, um, you can go to your database, select the DB home that's there, and then if you go to actions, you should be able to move it to another database home. And then you can specify, you can look at the database version here and then move it to the database home that we need to move it to before updating. If we so first, if you want to list the updates that are available to your database home using the OCI CLI, it's the similar command where you do an OCI DB and then give the type, the action, and the options. So your list DB home is your action. So when you run this command, if you look on the right in the screenshot, we can see that it gives us all of the DB homes that are available, right? And then we can go ahead and apply the updates. So you can just select the action as pre-check or apply. You select the patch ID from the previous um, list DB homes and then use the same command to apply the patch that we want to apply to our database.
Yeah, and just to add on this, Sheena. So for the applying updates to database home using CLI, they will see a dash dash db dash version parameter. So this is a complex type of an input where it going to process a JSON file. So that JSON file must contain the parameters as shown here. So they just need to specify the action, whether it's a pre-check or apply, and then the patch ID, that's the OSID of the updates for the DB home. And once they created this JSON file, so if you move to the next slide. Yep. So that's it. So they just need to run this update command referencing to that specific database home that they wanted to update, which is the db home dash id, which is the OCD of the database home that they wanted to update. And then the DB version, supply it with that created JSON file, and then that's it. And then once they run, they'll see the lifecycle state of the DB home change to updating.
Right. Right. And then similarly, just like we receive the notifications for VM and infrastructure, you can also receive notifications for your DB home updates by selecting the event type as DB home update begin or DB home update end. And again, you can subscribe your these events to email or a notification topic and subscription, and then create the rules with the event type DB home update begin and DB home update end, right? And so just like so now if we want to upgrade our grid infrastructure, so let's say you're upgrading from 19 to 26 AI, there's some prerequisites, like it should have an Oracle Linux 8, the ASM disk group, what are the guest VM Exadata version running, the Exadata infrastructure should be running a 23.1.x, all PDBs must be open. Now you can make sure that all of these prerequisites are met by running a pre-check before you apply the actual upgrade. So just like before, you just go to your VM cluster, go to updates. When you go for the upgrade type for the um, GI version, there's two options to either pre-check or apply. So it's always advised to first pre-check, make sure all of the requirements are met, and then apply the GI update. So yeah, and then when you're upgrading the database to 26 AI, now when you do this, there's an automatic pre-check that's run prior to the upgrade process. And before you do that, um, you cannot, one thing is you cannot perform any management activities during the upgrade process, right? And if there's any unsuccessful upgrade operation, you can always roll back your upgrade to 26 AI or the next version that you're upgrading to. Now, when you do this, make sure you're setting the. So, how you do this is you can go to the database details page. You select the upgrade under your actions menu. You specify the database version to 26 AI. You select a target database home. So, this is how you do it using the console. You can run a pre-check. If you look at the bottom right here, you will be able to see the pre-check before doing the actual upgrade here, right? And yes, again, you can monitor all of these events, through email, no, email, Slack, um, subscription notifications, topics. Just create the right event types in your console, and you should be able to do that. Now, how you can make sure that what is happening for infrastructure, the life cycle state that it will show you is maintenance in progress for your database server as well as your storage server. For any VM cluster OS updates, GI, or database updates, you will see the status as updating when it is updating. For database upgrades, you'll see the status as upgrading. You can also use APIs to automate your monitoring using these APIs, which is get cloud Exadata infrastructure, get cloud VM cluster, get database, and get DBO. When you do this, you'll also see the current status of these resources. So you should be able to monitor it from there as well. And then you can add your own alarms or dashboards or whatever else you need to add on top of those uh, notifications and metrics. So yeah, that's how you can enable notifications. And so that's how you can enable notifications for automatic notifications. If you just want to see it one off or manually, you can also go to the work requests and check the status, monitor the progress and errors if there are any. You can also check the upgrade history tab on the OCI console or through the APIs to check the progress.
Yep, and then from the update history, they can also see the type of update action, whether it's the pre-check and or whether it's the actual apply.
Right.
Yep. So they can monitor all the updates and upgrade that they perform under this tab.
So that's it from our side. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. Are there any questions in the chat?
All right. If there's no any if there are no any questions, maybe Sheena, you can share like where they can get more references. Yeah.
Right. So if you have any questions later, you can always ask us in the Slack channel. And you can also refer to the Get Started guide. So this is our Slack workspace, Exadata Database Service. So if you go to this workspace and the general channel, you should be able to access our Getting Started guides, how to demos and GIFs, this Tech Talk series, and any featured blogs for this service. Any questions if you have later, also you can ask on that same channel.
Yeah.
So yes, any updates, and so this is how you can join. You can also scan it right now and join the thing if you want. All right, that's it from our side. If you have any questions, you can ask us. We'll be here for a few more minutes.
Um, yeah, so there's a question, Sheena, in the chat.
Mhm.
So if a workflow fails, can we see the reason why? So yep, under the work requests, there's also a logs tab there.
Right. So if you go to the work requests and click on this upgrade database, this operation that's actually upgrading, you should be able to see the logs and the reason in the logs.
All right, sounds
Any
good.
other questions? All right, I guess we just had that.
Yep.
Sounds
So
good.
thanks everyone for joining our Tech Talk. So we'll upload the replay of this session on our Slack channel as well as the references and the some of the how-to guides that we shared here on the presentation. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.